border management is a prerequisite for stability and socioeconomic development of the East African community and a concern to the youth. First of all, while talking about border management, we need to consider the fact that it involves national and international coordination and cooperation strategies among agencies of border security. And in saying that it's a prerequisite, we mean that it's an important aspect in order to achieve socioeconomic development. And socioeconomic development is about the process of social and economic development that is related with aspects of life expectancy, education in terms of literacy, and levels of employment. Ladies and gentlemen, and honorable judges, we would like to state as the affirmative team that border management is not only the prerequisite for, it's not the only prerequisite for socioeconomic development. This is because there are many other prerequisites like peace, security, and good governance. We also note that border management is a vital element to socioeconomic development, and therefore it should not be de-emphasized. Rather, it should be given more weight in order to achieve the end results. And then, more important, we'd like you to note that the affirmative team recognizes that border management is less affiliated with political stability, and therefore political stability will not be subject to debate in this motion. Okay, talking about border management, the affirmative team would like you to note that border management revolves around the first two pillars of the East African community. That's customs union and the common market. And my team will delineate more about on that. And also, talking about border management, we talk about integration. Some are short, some are tall, some are thin, and some are stocky. But we are all humans. Why shouldn't we live together and happily within the same borders? This is a quote from the President of the Republic of Rwanda, His Excellency Paul Kagame. And it's from this backdrop that we notice that border management is all about integration, and therefore, my team will talk more about integration of the community and delineate issues about integration.
Thank you very much, Secretary General. I would like to inquire, are you seeking to manage the borders within the East African states or the borders of the East African community as a whole? And what are the policies to establish that plan you're seeking to?
Okay, border management, in this aspect, we are talking about border management of the East African community. And I'd like you to note that if it's the East African community, obviously it's the borders within the region, not the East Africa as a whole. So I would like to continue. The alternative team, in order to...
Thank you, Secretary General. And if you are going to rely on protection borders within the community, and the East African community is now struggling from human smuggling, and the source of human smuggling in East Africa is from the Horn of Africa, according to the International Organization of Migration. So such kind of stability which will lead to hinder development within the community. How are you going to manage it if we'll just only concentrate on protection of borders within the community?
In talking about border management, we will wish to let you know that the East African community is in cooperation with the Khartoum process, and in doing so, it supports the border management issues in the Horn of Africa and in East Africa as a region. As I was saying that...
Excuse me, I know you're in your protected time, but I think there's a delegate from your team that would like to support your answer.
Yes, I just want to make a response to the alternate team that was arguing whether we are only debating intra-borders. We are debating borders of East Africa, and that encompasses the borders within East Africa and those exiting East Africa.
And so lastly, I would like to take this opportunity to state the milestones that have been achieved by the East African community. Honorable judges, the inception of the 2013 EAC Protocol on Peace and Security has been an aid to border management. Article 11 of the protocol talks about control of the proliferation of illicit small arms and weapons, and this has made sure that there is security within the region. I would like to stop there.
Thank you very much, Secretary General from the affirmative team. We now welcome the first Attorney General from the alternative strategy team. Welcome.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Christabella Mugisha. I'm from Burundi, and I'm here as the first attorney in the alternative team. I'm having my colleagues Hainati Jebeni from Kenya, and the third attorney general is Joel Karangi from Tanzania, and the fourth is Tony Mihigo from Rwanda, and the fifth is Awino Mercy from Uganda. I'm here to try to give our interpretation of the motion we were given. The border management, for us, it won't be the main or the priority to solve the stability issues or the socioeconomic development issues we have. I believe that this can be one of the ways to solve all those problems, but it shouldn't be the focus. Because border management, we understand that it's not the only option we have. We have many options, and we think that let's first look at the problems we have. There are internal problems in our countries. There is poverty in our regions, and specifically in our partner state inside. There are migrant smuggling inside. There is unemployment and education inside the countries. There is poor governance. There is also corruption. All those points, and I'm expecting my colleagues to dig in deeper so that they can explain you more. But I want you to understand that we need to first look at those problems before we focus on the border management. Because we understand that, like migration smuggling, the border management won't handle that only, because being smuggled as a migrant, sometimes you are taken away willingly because you're looking for a job maybe. So you are the one who have looked for the documents. You are the one who is ready to answer if the officer is asking you. So the border management sometimes won't be in a place of solving the issue of migrant smuggling. So we need another solution that can be done is to sensitize and educate not only the youth now. This time I want to talk about that point of youth. The youth, they are not the only age of group concerned. It's all of us. It's all the ages of, all the groups of ages. So I want you to notice that the border management won't be the main thing. It won't be the main point, and we should look at all those internal problems so that we can solve the stability and the socioeconomic development in our countries, in our region. And I would like to highlight on what the Secretary General said about the border management being an important aspect. It doesn't mean necessarily that it is the priority, as I was saying. It is part of many things. But for us, I believe that we should look at what are the priorities. Because also the border management, as you said, it will imply a lot of things, to imply technological tools and all that, which will also cost more than trying to solve internal problems first. So, one more time, I would like to thank you, all of you, and I believe that you understand our point, because we, as the alternative team, we believe that that one is one of the big group of problems. That one is one of the big...
Excuse me, Past Attorney General, let's have a point of information.
Yes.
Madam Secretary General, from what you have talked about, I think you are just reiterating what I already said. I said that it's not the only prerequisite. You have other prerequisites. So that means your team is standing at a point of intransigency that you are not sure of what to debate about. And then from what you have presented, I will just need to know that migrant smuggling occur at the borders.
Dear Secretary General, I want to remind you that your role as our affirmative team is to defend that border management is the only prerequisite. So if you're here telling us that there are other prerequisites, then means you are actually agreeing with us. Thank you.
I would like to remind the opposition side that the motion of today talks about prerequisite. There is no existence of only prerequisite, and by the proposition agreeing to the existence of other prerequisites does not call to priority. May I please request the opposition side to stick to the bounds of this motion?
Thank you very much. If I may quote what the Secretary General said, he said that yes, there are other factors that could be used to achieve socioeconomic development, but he also said that border management should be given first priority in giving aid. To me, that sounds like the most important thing that should be addressed. So we as Team Alternative, we come to say that, you know what, it is not our most urgent problem. We have other things that we should look at first.
Okay, she is back to protected time, so let's keep our questions for the next debate.
I think we've shared our point clearly, because as the affirmative team is saying that it's not the only, but they are looking at it as if it's the key, the main key. But we, as the alternative team, we are saying that there are many other keys that can be used, and which are especially, I think, more important than border management. Because border management won't solve all these problems we have, especially the socioeconomic development. And thank you for listening, and I believe that my colleagues will continue from.
The affirmative team.
Thank you very much. I think the alternative strategy team haven't clearly understand the motion. The motion says border management is a prerequisite for stability and social development of the East African community and a concern to the youth. We are not saying that border management is only one way to achieve the stability and the economic development within the East African community. We are saying that it is the main one, but there are other several aspects that we can put in place in order to assure that to assure that stability and economic development within East Africa is assured. Then, as a Deputy Secretary General, I will be emphasizing the point that have been made by my colleague. I will be emphasizing what is really border management. By border management, we have two main points. We have free movement of people and goods and labors and capital in East African community. We have also the control of that movement. By facilitating the movement of people crossing the borders of East African community, we are saying that we are going to make it as easier as possible for people who are crossing our borders to come and visit our East African community. And by facilitating the movement of people crossing borders, we are also facilitating students to go and
we are going back to, I'm going to quote what your Secretary General said earlier, that more aid is supposed to be given to managing borders. So my question to you is, if more aid is to be given to managing borders, then it goes without saying that it's your major focus when it's coming to governments. So can you please explain that?
I think my colleague has been very clear on that by saying. Okay.
Go ahead. Actually, it's not an answer, it's a question to you back. At what point did we state about aid?
Quoting the Secretary General's speech, he said that the aspects of border management are to address the ideas of peace, security, and good governance, and he said that it will be given more aid to achieve the end result. Quoting verbatim what he said.
You can go ahead.
Also, I want to. Yeah. The Deputy Secretary General, you said that movement of people should be facilitated first. I want to be assured from you, why can we concentrate on the movement of people while the first pillar of custom has been accomplished in its objective? So why can we focus there?
Okay, I would like to note that policy implementation is not spontaneous, rather it's constant accretion of knowledge. So the fact that it is not yet to be implemented does not demystify the fact that the East African community is working towards achieving that.
So, why is this border management a concern to the youth? You know, in East African community, we have the population of 15 millions, and then the young people represent the 60% of that percentage. To mean that young people are 9 millions in the East African community. They are the majority of the population. The other thing is that young people are much more energetic than other groups of people. They are so active in the community. Then the border management is there to address the obstacle of migrant smuggling and corruption at the border. You know, when the borders are not well managed, it means that the borders are much more porous and easily penetrable by migrants or by smugglers or any other malfactors that may come outside of the East African community and can to destabilize our stability and socio-economic development. And it is also one of the border management. To conclude, I can say that border management is very important to us because it's one of the pillars of the East African community, which is a common market and the custom unions. And by managing our borders,
Thank you very much, Deputy Secretary General. What you can do is you can write down your full conclusion and pass it on to the next speaker in your team. I now welcome the Second Secretary General from the Alternative Strategy.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. First of all, I would like to, what our team is really saying is that we have to solve towards other issues. So my question to the affirmative team is that how are you guys planning on managing the borders with your kids? What is your approach? And continuing to what the first Attorney General had said, we have issues like unemployment and lack of education access in the region, and those are the biggest challenges that the East African region are facing at the moment. And there are high numbers of unemployment in the East Africa, and according to the United Nations Development Program, Kenya is leading with the numbers when it comes to unemployment. And when a country is affected by this issue, it threatens the becoming. So for a country to become an economic powerhouse, it's very difficult when you have high unemployment rates. Another issue is the education, lack of education access, and this is brought about by poor of legal enforcement of education policies, and we also have the lack of proper budgetary allocation to education within the 6 partner states of East Africa. This lack of education basically causes social and development because there is.
Thank you. I'd like to ask you, Second Attorney General, the other internal issues you're talking about, are you suggesting to the House that they're in no way related to border management issues in the region?
Thank you very much. I'd like to help my Second Attorney General. What we are saying is that the problems that we are experiencing internally, for example, unemployment, for example, corruption, for example, poverty, unless they are handled internally, then we cannot achieve social and economic development. And we do not see any way that they are related to border management. Even if we managed our borders and we did not strengthen our social and economic infrastructure, we still would not achieve social and economic development.
Yes, I just need to ask a question. You say that we can work paying a blind eye to border management. Are you aware that majority of East African countries are landlocked?
We are not saying that we are going to turn a blind eye to border management. We are saying that there are problems, there are pertinent issues in East Africa that are not related to border management. And here, the ultimate goal is that we need to achieve social and economic development. But the causes of our underdevelopment are not arising from the fact that we have not managed our borders. They are arising from our internal factors. So let us solve these problems, and then also manage the borders. But our main focus is our internal problems.
So are you of the view that if we link all the suggested internal problems to having an attachment with border management, then we win the argument?
You brought up the idea of priorities, and we are saying that our priority is going to be internal factors and not border management.
Okay, I just want to clarify something. We are of the thought that managing borders is not the only way to have social economic development in the partner states. So as I continue, as I had mentioned earlier about education, lack of education within countries causes slow progress due to the uneducated systems, which downs upon the social development of the country. And the solution that we can do is to have a cross-sector approach to be able to identify opportunities for investment that will affect the quality, the children's education quality in regards to health, general sanitation, and nutrition. Addressing the issue of social economic development will generally boost the state as a whole, economically, politically, and socially. So dealing with unemployment and the lack of education access is very vital when looking at the social and economic development of a state.
Thank you very much, Second Attorney General from the Alternative Strategy. I now welcome the Chairperson to the Council from the Affirmative Strategy.
Honorable judges, my fellow delegations, my fellow debaters, and the member at large, the audience at large, good morning. I believe it's still morning, yes. Good morning. Before I go any further, let me remind my opponents, the alternative team, on the motion that we are actually debating on. The motion states that this House believes that border management is a prerequisite for stability of socio-economic development of East African community, and a concern to youth. First thing, we are talking about the East African community, the united as the unity within the community. We are all aware of the saying that says, umoja ni nguvu, utengano ni udhaifu. In English, it means togetherness is power, divided, I don't know what we should say that, but we can all understand what I'm trying to imply. Talking about a country's problem as an individual is actually, okay, fine, it's a concern that it's an individual problems. But how are we going to fight these individual problems if we ourselves can't? So you think if we still hold on to our own problems, it's going to be a mercy to us, or it's going to be a way out of this? Hell no, we need togetherness. Thank you. Let me proceed from there. First, as the chairperson of the affirmative team, I would like to acknowledge what the East African community had before done back in establishing the common market and the custom unions, under which this we are finding the border management. And I reflect back to Article 76 and 104 of the Eastern African Community provisions. Yes?
Thank you very much. I want you to assure us on the point you said that umoja ni nguvu. How can we have umoja while we want first to deal with the disputes which are within? And what we said, we want first to improve on our education, to eradicate poverty. There is variation. When I think to go in Burundi, while the level of education of Burundi is still low, so how it will facilitate? So we must first.
Can I answer?
Okay. So we must first to ensure that the education improvement within our partner states is dealt with, and again we must assure that poverty levels within our partner states are being dealt with first, without moving borders.
First, let me make it clear in this house that I'm a student in Kenya, a University of Catholic University of Eastern Africa. That is one proof of how I'm benefiting from the community, that I can get access to education to other member states, which I believe, or you believe, that I can get something which is much better for my country. And once I get those skills, I will definitely bring them back to my community. But what happens if we do not exercise proper border management? This will actually mean I will not have access to other countries' services. Thank you.
I would like to remind members, let's remember to exercise diplomacy when we are speaking to each other.
So, thank you, Honorable Moderator. As I was acknowledging the East African community, through the 76 and 104 article of the provision articles on the common market that allows free movement of goods on Article 6, allows free movement of workers on Article 810, and allows free movement of person in Article 7, and so forth and so forth. Together with all that we have, we still have challenges. And I believe strengthening what is already on papers is what is going to take us further to accomplishing what we all believe in and what we want for the young people in future. Because this whole thing is for us young people. The age of 15 to age of 35, we can enjoy these benefits of studying in Kenya, studying in Rwanda, bringing all those skills into our member states and participating in it for the development of the East African Union. And I believe if we strengthen what we have on papers, we will have the best regional integration ever standing on this earth. Thank you very much. I yield my case.
Thank you very much, Chairperson to the Council. I now welcome the third Attorney General from the Alternative Strategy.
Honorable judges, participants, good morning. First of all, I want to rebut the point from the affirmative team, specifically concerning on the free movement of people and the quotes which you take from the Common Market Protocol of 2010 due to the following. Until now, we still face the challenge of non-tariff barriers within the community, which is under the Custom Union Protocol. And these barriers have been imposed and don't allow movement of goods first. So how can you want a movement of people while movement of goods have not yet been allowed? So I want to build my point on this, that we should never give the priority on management of borders, but first we should focus on elimination of non-trade barriers which are imposed by partner states. According to that, until today, it was reported on the Citizen magazine of 20th November 2018, and it indicates that among of the agenda of the 20th Ordinary Summit of the East African Community, it was about eradication of barriers which have been imposed by partner states. So we must first deal with that before talking about border management. But also,
Thank you. Actually, you're saying what I was saying. You're stressing on what I was trying to express in this house, that we should strengthen on what is already in papers, because actually these laws have been already ratified by the member states. So it's something which has already been stated by the member states, but it's not really being acted upon. So that's why we are asking the member states to actually implement what they're actually written on their papers. That's what we are standing on. Thank you. And to add on that, I'm still having access to Kenya and study and get all rights as a citizen of East African community. Thank you.
I want to ask you one thing. How can we first struggle with the accomplishment of the common market protocol while the first pillar have not yet been accomplished? But also, the common market protocol is directly concentrating on border management, from what you said. But when I'm talking about non-tariff barriers, as is stated on Article 13 of the Custom Union Protocol, it shows that it should be taken by immediate effect. With immediate effect, according to Article 13 of the Custom Union Protocol, which reveals that...
Might I also come back to the burden of the negative? If you're arguing on customs union and common market, does it still prove your case of saying that border management is not a prerequisite to stability and and socio-economic development in the region?
For this time, is not a prerequisite. Ladies and gentlemen, and honorable judges, in order to solve the challenge of non-tariff barriers, first of all, we must empower the jurisdiction of the East African Court of Justice, as stated under Article 27 of the Treaty for the Establishment of the East African Community. When we'll give more power on having decisive, binding decisions over matters pertaining non-tariff barriers, and being binding to the partner states, it will be helpful rather than the current situation of just sitting meetings and solving issues, while we have the court which can give us binding decisions and move on to accomplish other stages of other pillars of the community. But also, when we will give this opportunity, it will be helpful for youth, because now they will be aware that they can move rather than the current situation of barriers which are directly imposed on our laws and don't allow young people to move. And it will not make sense. Okay. And it will not make sense if we'll struggle on allowing border management to concentrate on border management while the current barriers are not allowing people to move, are not allowing people to conduct business, are not allowing free movement of goods. Thank you very much.
We now welcome to the podium the amicus curiae from the affirmative team.
I observe all protocol. Our dear judges, up until this time, as the affirmative team, we agree that independent states have problems of socioeconomic development. We agree that issues of unemployment, issues of health challenges are alive in these member states. But what we disagree with from the alternate team is the mode under which we can alleviate all these matters. And we came here when the Secretary General was speaking and made it very clear that the prerequisite to alleviate all these matters is simply hinged on border management. However, we say that border management is not the only prerequisite. We agree that there are other prerequisites like peace and security within the state. Now, today, the alternate team comes clearly and says that the problems are not in any way entangled or attached to border management. In very simple terms, from my speech, you are going to hear a direct correlation with these problems attached to border management. Dear judges, first on the question of unemployment, on poverty and smuggling. I'll start with smuggling that is directly related to border management because anyway it occurs at the borders. We are saying that the problems in these member states, like unemployment, like poor governance, have been problems for the case of Uganda 50 years over of independence. And what they propose for us today, the question of sensitization, is something that has been in place for 50 years and counting. Today we come here and tell you that unemployment is not going to be alleviated when Uganda is working in isolation, that Uganda is not going to bring another landmass over it to create employment or to build more industries on top of it. We are saying that border management, which is indeed a premise of opening them up, and this is not something from the blue. We are saying that the East African Treaty of Establishment has provided for it in Article 5 when it recommends and indeed adopts the customs union. And the pre-current speaker made it very clear that Article 13 of the Customs Union indeed appreciates that non-tariff barriers should be removed. Non-tariff barriers, ladies and gentlemen, one of them is poor border management. It is a non-tariff barrier, and in this debate, we need to address it. Yes.
So you've acknowledged that we have issues of unemployment and health when it comes to social economic development. So my question to you is, how will managing borders deal with the issue of health?
Thank you. So like I was proceeding, managing borders better, and for our case, is simply implementing the customs union and the common market. We'll do the following things. Allow our youth to go into different economies. That if I'm a youth in Uganda and I have a startup, I know Kenya is better versed with technology, so my business will thrive better in Kenya. Unemployment averted. We are arguing that the free movement indeed will advocate and solve the problems that have been failed to, that we have failed to find a solution for in the independent states over the years. Sir in Chair, furthermore, we are arguing that border managements are not in a vacuum. They do not act independent. And we are saying, why do we think the youth are indeed a cause? Sorry.
Thank you. You said that non-tariff barriers are directly relating to the border management. I quote what you said. So I want you to assure us how it is directly related while non-tariff barriers are being imposed on the partner states' laws and how it relates to border management.
So the speaker's question is not exactly clear, but what I gather from what he's submitting, that he has an issue with non-tariff barriers. And I am submitting to you, ladies and gentlemen, that one of the non-tariff barriers is poor border management. And by alleviating that, in other words, implementing the customs union is going to help us solve all the problems that alternate team has raised. Problems of poverty that are ultimately projected by unemployment. People are going to go into different economies in the East African community and get employed. Problems of smuggling, of migrant smugglers, we are going to have a robust integrated border management system that indeed will make sure that we have little bureaucracy, we have professionalism from the people who act at the borders, and we shall have minimal corruption, if not none at all. Ladies and gentlemen, why the youth? We are arguing that, first of all, like the Deputy Secretary General said, that the youth are the majority, and we think as the biggest stakeholders of this economy, we should indeed trust them. But also, we are submitting admitting that the youth are the people who directly suffer from the laxity or the poor management of borders. I want to bring to you the cases of terrorism that have happened because of laxity at border management. When Garissa University was attacked, youth go to universities. When the Westgate Mall was attacked, the youth are the ones that associate with malls. Even in Kampala, when the Chadondo twin bombings happened, it was at a World Cup finals, and we know how youth are passionate about sports. So, dear judges, we think as the affirmative team that the youth indeed are a big concern. First of all, because they are the biggest stakeholders, but most importantly, because anyway, they are the ones that that suffer dire consequences when there is a breach, even the most minimum at the border post. So what are we arguing as the affirmative team? We are arguing first that the problems that they are seeking to solve with their solutions are things that have been there time immemorial and have not worked. So this debate today should help us establish, should we do the same over and over and expect a different result, even when history has proven otherwise? We think not. We think the East African community, the youth of the East African community deserve better. I propose.
Thank you very much, Amicus Curiae. I would like to remind the speakers, when you hear with the first sound bell, turn around and see if the other team has any point of information, then we can allow them to speak. Now let's welcome the fourth Attorney General from the Alternative Set Strategy.
Thank you so much. Dear affirmative team, dear judges, and House at large, good morning. My name is Tony Mihigo, and I'm the fourth Attorney General from the Alternative team. Now, before I go any further, I want to make this clear. We are not against border management. In fact, as opposition, we are here as alternative. We are here to say that, as this motion states, border management is a prerequisite for stability and socio-economic development of East African community and a concern for the youth. However, as alternative, we are here arguing against, firstly, the word prerequisite, as we have been misguided by the affirmative team. What does prerequisite mean? Prerequisite means that it's something which is a prior condition for other to happen. So without border management, the affirmative team should show us that without border management, we can't achieve stability and social and economic development, which should be our case as alternative. That's what we are saying. We are not against border management, but we are against the fact that it's the only condition you have to achieve stability and socio-economic development. Which brings us to the next case. As my precedent speakers have been saying, there are other problems, there are other factors which hinder us to achieve this stability and socio-economic development. And with solving them, together with border management, as they are saying, then you are going to achieve this stability and socio-economic development. I'm going to rebut what they have been saying. As they have said that there were some achievement of East African community, like monitoring illicit arms, small arms on borders. Yes, we are aware of achievements, but are we also aware of the challenges, of things which up to now have not been yet done? As my third speaker has been saying, we don't have yet realized the movement of people and goods. For example, now only Rwanda, Uganda, and Kenya, you only need a national identification to cross their borders. But that does not happen in Burundi, does not happen in South Sudan, does not happen in Tanzania. So where is the harmonization? And we also have the problem of... I'm sorry.
Yes, and we are saying very clearly that that is a problem, that is poor border management. Don't you think bettering that management, having better border management, will help much more?
It will not. I'm going to show you how. The problem we have first are the problems we have individually in our countries. As the first speakers have been saying, we have problem of migrant smuggling, we have problem of corruption, we have problem of poverty. Yes, they have said that at borders you can actually track human trafficking, but that's not how you are going to solve the root problem. What's the root problem of migrant smuggling? When people, they are taken to Europe and Asia, they are deceived of going to have better jobs, better lives. So what's the feasible way to solve that? Better create jobs within individual countries. Better give youth, give us chance to actually create jobs, have a better lives. Then it's going to solve the problem of migrant smuggling in its root cause rather than its symptoms.
Mr. Speaker, do you acknowledge that by fully implementing common markets, by free movement of labor and people, then we are definitely eradicating unemployment in the region?
The problem with that, Honorable Speaker, is that when you chew more than you can bite, you end up bringing it all back. I have a small analogy for you. From the time we have been implementing common market, we have not yet realized free movement of people to all partner states. There is still non-tariff barriers. For example, goods coming from Tanzania and Uganda are going to be taxed in Kenya. So, if we have not yet realized these first two steps, how sure are you that we are going to have effective border management? I'm also going on the burden that the proposition side have failed to address. They have failed to address how these borders will actually work. The logistics and technology involved in that, they haven't said about that because we need to have harmonization of technology. Our economies are very different. They are not harmonized at all. So how are we going to do that? You have failed to address the problem of national interest of the East African community because, for example, the threat to Rwanda is not necessarily the threat to Kenya. So how are we going to harmonize that? They have also failed to show how the youth is going to be involved in actually this border management process. What they have been saying is about, they have been saying about creating jobs, they have been saying about empowering youth, and that's our case as opposition. When you're empowering youth and giving them enough jobs, then there's no need of going to the borders. And remember our case, we are not against border management. We are just looking at the priority. Which is the priority here? Managing border well or just solving these internal problems well? And as we've been saying, we've been showing that with these factors of problems of poverty, unemployment, and migrant smuggling, if they are solved in individual countries as the first priority, then you can go to the next step of border management. And as also we've been saying, they have said that we need first to address the problems of East African community collectively rather than individually. But dear judges and dear House at large, how can two blind people help each other to go? You first need to address your individual problems in individual countries. Then you have also to harmonize. We still have problems of security and political instabilities. When by the time that is all addressed, then you can go to the next step of border management. As my precedent speakers have been saying about some solutions to achieve this social and economic development, actually, and we are going to provide them because the affirmative team clearly failed to show us how they are related to these solutions. If we are going to sense it, nonetheless, I rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fourth Attorney General. And now welcome the last speaker from the affirmative team, the counsel to the community.
I observe protocols. My role today as a counsel to the community is to show to the judging system why Team Alternative will and definitely shall not take this debate today. Coming back to the motion, resolve border management is a prerequisite for stability and socioeconomic development for the East African community and a concern for the youth. Now, I will provide 6 assumptions and a clash to this debate to the reason why the alternative team shall not take this debate today. The first assumption that was pushed through by the alternative team is that the proposition team, by agreeing to the existence of other prerequisites and by requesting that it be given a significant importance, will automatically make it a priority. Now, the alternative team has claimed that something being a prerequisite makes it a priority. However, we all know that something being a prerequisite makes it important, thus not eradicating or not minimizing the other prerequisites. Assumption number 2, the alternative team claims that internal related problems in individual states will not in any way affect the collective progress of the entire community. They allegedly say that if Burundi is not progressing, if Uganda is not progressing, then this will not in any way affect the progress of the community, thus bringing us back to why the common market and the customs union are not yet fully implemented because of the lagging behind of the other partner states. Assumption number 3.
The alternative team claims that the lack of full integration calls out the importance of border management. I would like to remind to the House that the argument of the proposition side is that border management does not exist in a vacuum. Border management, as stated by the Secretary General, is a big aspect of customs union and common market. And I thank the alternative team to agreeing to our statement that once customs union and common market are not fully very well integrated, then border management is still called out to be a big issue, and that should be called out to working.
Faster, please.
Thank you very much. As an alternative team, we faithfully said that there are matters which should first be dealt upon within partner states. And what I want to say, according to Article 11 of the Common Market Protocol, it is realizing this by wanting first partner states to harmonize their laws. And that is what we want first, to deal with matters within. We can't say we want a movement of people while...
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I got your point. Now, I'd like to make this, to push this assumption, and I hope it will answer your question. Now, the alternative team has said that while the East African community member states are still struggling with internal problems, namely smuggling, poverty, corruption, we would like to push through again as the affirmative team that these problems exist because border management is still an issue. You will not need to smuggle a person if you have full movement of people. You will not need to corrupt a person at the border if the customs union, duty-free, as entailed in the customs union protocol, has been very well integrated. And I again thank the alternative team to push through with these questions that when member states have not yet fully integrated in the protocols in the agenda of the community, we're still failing, and we are still calling for border management policies. Another assumption, yes please.
Thank you. We have not yet realized the free movement of people. We have not yet realized removal of non-tariff barriers. So how sure are you that we are going to realize this?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I got your point. So by saying that we have not yet fully moved through customs union and common market, it removes border management issues. It is a very big logical fallacy because border management policies exist because we need a customs union and we need to implement a common market. We do not need... I might have to remind to the alternative team that border management does not exist in a vacuum, and it is therefore a big aspect of custom union and common market. Assumption number 5, the alternative team have clearly tried to prove to the House that border management issues, custom union issues, common market issues are an event rather than a process. They have claimed that just because we are still progressing, we are very bad failing at this. And I quote the 4th Attorney General of the alternative team saying that we do not, as I pushed a question to him, said border management is not, I repeat, is not an issue that should be pushed through to the House. Assumption number 6, they have claimed very well that we need, their biggest argument today of the alternative is to say that because we have a lot of problems in individual partner states, we cannot push through with the community problems. And I have to remind to the House that what individual partner states have failed to do individually, what partner states have failed up to now to realize as a collective is therefore not something that can be realized individually. Unemployment issues. If Burundi can still not provide full employment to its people in the region by refusing to fully integrate, it will still completely fail to do it on its own by refusing to implement what they have ratified and. Thank you very much. In her closing remarks, she tasked us to come and show how border management is not going to solve the problem of social and economic underdevelopment. I will do exactly that. Now you see, the problem that East Africa as a whole is facing is not that we have poor management of our borders. It is that we already have very poor economies. We have unemployment rates, very high unemployment rates. We have migrant smuggling. Yes, we have corruption, and we have inaccess to education, and we also have very many health issues already. Now, if we look at all these issues, the problem, what causes these problems is not that we have poor border management. It is that, one, our governments cannot provide employment opportunities for our people in Uganda, for our people in East Africa, for our people in Tanzania, in Rwanda or Burundi. It is because our governments cannot provide adequate health facilities to all our people. It is because our social and economic infrastructure is down. So as Team Alternative, we are coming to say that, you know what, before we even look at managing our borders, we need to first rejuvenate, we need to first reconstruct our social and economic infrastructure, and then we shall achieve social and economic development. The whole thing that the motion wanted us to do is to weigh between border management and all the other factors. And then you see the trick that the Team Affirmative comes with is to first agree with us and then bring up their points and then say that we have not understood the motion. We have understood the motion. Our biggest and only clash in this motion is the meaning of prerequisite. And we are saying, and as I already have been quoting what the Secretary General already said, they said that they are going to give first priority in giving aid to border management. And that already is a clear indication that that is their main focus. But we are saying that because the problems that we as East Africa are facing, it is not because of poor border management, it is because we have very poor social and economic infrastructure. Then we need to first handle the root cause of the problem and then do the other things, because you cannot cure cancer by just chemotherapy. You need to either uproot the whole tumor or the person actually dies. And that is what they come to say. They want to give us tablets, they want to come and give us injections. I'm sorry. Thank you.
I will use the very medical analogy. So when the cancer machine in Mulago fails, would you rather we collect money to buy a new machine in Uganda, or rather bring someone to Arusha where the machine is?
Thank you very much. I get your point. And that also brings us to the assumption that they made for us. They assumed that we are saying that we are going to deal individually as countries. No, we are not dealing individually as a country. We are dealing as East Africa as a whole. Now, if the East African Community Secretariat makes it a major point, as they have already done in the protocol, the various protocols and the various provisions, the treaties that they already have, to actually, one, ensure that we have employment. They came and said that if we are...
Yes, you are saying you're not working in isolation. You are working in accordance with the treaties, like that of establishment that provides for the inaction of the the customs union. Is that what you are working towards?
I will answer your point as I move on with my case. So I was saying that, you see, they came and told us that free movement of people across borders is going to solve the problem of unemployment. But I've already told you that the cause of unemployment is not the fact that we are not moving freely. And even then, let me take them at their best. If we manage the borders, managing borders actually in one way or the other might limit accessibility of these other countries. Right now in the ground we have free movement already. Let us maintain the status quo. People already, the third speaker came and said that she has accessed education from Kenya. But right now we do not have proper management of borders, but she has still been able to access that education. That means we have more pertinent issues to first solve before looking at border management, which might be a minor thing to the whole situation. Now, they did not even give us a way in which they want to manage this border. Now, I want to bring to you pertinent issues with borders in East Africa. First of all, we have the colonial demarcation of borders. We already have East Africa. We already have Uganda and Kenya fighting over Mijingo Islands. We already have very unclear borders that have been demarcated. Now, how are they going to manage the borders if they do not have a clear way of doing it? How are we going to manage people who are entering Uganda through Lake Victoria because we do not have patrols there? We do not have people who are managing each and every border point, but they are saying that they want to manage the borders without giving us a clear explanation on how they are going to do this. How will they do it? That means that they actually do not answer to the problem that is posed by the question. And we as Team Alternative, we are saying that, you know what, let us handle the root problem and then later on go to this. And then they did not talk anything about inclusion of the youth and how the youth has a bearing in doing this. But we as Team Alternative, we come to say that, you know what, yes, the youth need to be included, but the youth cannot do this alone. We need all the stakeholders. Right now, the policy makers are the people, are the ones who are above the age the youth age bracket. They are the ones making the policies, sitting in the secretariat, in our governments and everything. So let us have these people work hand in hand with the youth, sensitize people. The cause of migrant smuggling is not that our borders are not managed. No, it is because people are unemployed, because people want to seek better opportunities outside. So if our government sit down and provide jobs for people, people will not be induced to go out to look for jobs. So now, and then we also said that, you know what, some of these people who are being smuggled across borders actually do it with valid passports, with valid travel documents, because they're doing it willingly, because they're the ones that want to get these opportunities outside. So if they're doing it willingly, how will a border management officer know that this person is being smuggled outside? So we are saying that, you know what, before we address all these issues that are coming to say, let us first reconstruct our social and economic infrastructure, and then finally look at other things as border management. With this, I rest my case.
Thank you very much, speakers. That was quite fiery, very exciting for the first round. Let's give them a round of applause. And now we come to the point where we open the stage to our viewers. Anyone who has a question, who has a view, you're welcome. I think we will pick out four viewers to say something, and after that, we're going to go to the interveners. Interveners, please be ready with your comments and your views about the speakers and about the motion. Anyone who has a question or anything to add on to this debate is now welcome.
Thanks for this chance that you have given me. I want to add something for the STEAM alternative team. The thing that I want to say is, it's true that they think border management can be a prerequisite to address migrant smuggling. But the thing here that we want to know is, as a partner states, we are supposed to know the source or the root causes of those problems that have been maybe occurring, something like migrant smuggling and corruption. Okay, let's think now how to solve those things as an internal problems in our countries so as we can go to borders management. I think that is the way. And another thing I want to say is, okay, they're trying to think that maybe free movement could be a solution for maybe stopping this problem of migrant smuggling. Okay, we are doing that. But the people are doing some illegal business even in our country that they are not being allowed to go in other places. That's why they are doing migrant maybe something maybe legally as a smuggling. So what we are going to do is, first of all, give them an alternative way, what kind of a business or trade they can do, even in their countries, so that they can pass freely to other countries. They can do another thing. Thank you. Only that.
Thank you very much. Any other?
Thank you very much. My name is Catherine Tarimo, a student of the University of Dar es Salaam. I would like to put some views on the debate. It has been very overwhelming, but I think the thing that the alternative team failed to do, only the last two did it, was to point out the solutions to what the motion says. While the affirmative is supposed to be bringing out the problems, the alternative should have focused more on bringing out the solutions to border management. Of course, all the problems are associated, all the problems you mentioned were associated with border smuggling and all the problems, like unemployment, education, they're all associated. But what solutions do you have to offer to eradicate these problems? Thank you.
Yes, thank you. We shall intend to conduct a judges training such that the speakers do not become judges on the floor.
Thank you so much. First, I would love to congratulate the two sides. They really understood the motion, and they are really contributing a lot. But talking about border management, I would expect maybe the two teams to bring out some issues that are directly related to border management. Talk about shared resources in our region. Talk about Mount Kilimanjaro, that is still a problem between Kenya and Tanzania. talk about Mountain Elgon, Mount Rwenzori, talk about Mount Kenya as well, talk about lakes, Lake Victoria that is still shared within the EAC countries, River Nile that is still shared within the EAC countries, Lake Tanganyika, Lake Nyasa. So we still have those kind of issues that are affecting us. Talk about the oil pipeline from Albert Nile to Tanga, what are the issues behind it, the Mijingo Island issues. So I first congratulate you for, for this landmark as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have the last one.
The last viewer.
Yeah, and the audience should use less minutes than the debaters, not to create another debate.
Hello, everyone. My name is Imran, and I'm at Herbert Kairuki University. Okay, I just want to add a view on the affirmative side. They have clearly said that they're gonna aid on border management, and that's clearly the good and the best thing ever to be done in East African community, because East African community has its own bank which will aid on border management. And so far, they are talking about stability and socioeconomic development. So far, we have seen that there is instability. There are civil wars down there. There are like terrorists. There are Boko Haram and all this. There is gun being said. There are elephants being killed. The ivories are crossing the borders without the individual country getting the benefits from it. So by putting much effort on border management, the socio-economic development will happen because we people are working together. There should be unity. If you take one pencil, it's easier to break it, but taking many pencils, breaking them together is difficult. That means as East African community, the individual states, the partner states should work together by implementing on border management so that the individual states should be stable and socio-economic development should be able to develop.
Thank you. Ms. Fifi, you know there is a lady who has bribed me, and because of gender balance, she requested for 1 minute. So.
All right, we give her a few minutes to make her comments.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Nema Dashina from Kairuki. I agree with the alternative team that there are other things to deal with. But as we're here, I would love us to see that we're university students. I'm still in university, and most of us here are youth. Let us not just focus on the border management and focus on the youth. I really like what he said, that the youth have been affected by the poor border management, and well, let's focus on the youth. The youth are the ones actually being smuggled. The youth are the one actually trying to cross borders, and if they're trying to cross borders, that means that they have tried at root level, at city level, and they're trying to cross the borders. Let's focus on the youth. Let's focus on the youth. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. And now I would like to welcome the interveners to make comments about the debate and to give their views.
I have been advised that they have 2 minutes each.
Yes, 2 minutes each.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, my name is Pamela Otenyo. I'm a deputy director from the Department of Immigration in Kenya. And I would like to, first of all, congratulate all our debaters for a job well done. I congratulate you for your confidence and your research. But as a technical officer from the Department of Immigration with 27 years of experience, I would just like to highlight a few issues. First of all, border management concerns the administration of borders. Its precise meaning varies according to national context, but it usually concerns the rules, techniques, and procedures of regulating border activities, which includes, of course, human trafficking, human beings crossing goods and services across borders, and the zones around the borders. The complexity and increased volumes of international travel, and trade has given birth to numerous opportunities and transnational crimes. It's therefore necessary that states initiate comprehensive border management control systems aimed at assisting in the management of these flows. Now, what is the function of border management? The border management in any country guarantees national security. The border is the line that gives you sovereignty. That's why sometimes you see people fighting because somebody has crossed the line into the other person's territory. So when you're talking about border management, let me just finish. So, okay, it talks about national security, public order. It ensures economic stability and public health, which is very important. And then it prevents, at border management, you prevent cross-border crimes, unlawful entry and exit. You monitor transnational crimes, cyber security, and adopts a coordinated approach whereby both of you are right, because border management is not just about control of persons, but every institution is involved. It's a multi-agency approach. Thank you.
Thank you very much. 2 minutes definitely is not fair for partner states, but I will be very, 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 very quick. The affirmative team, I also want to congratulate all of you for a job well done. The affirmative team, you did very well, but like my sister has said, I would have liked to hear more of what, especially from the SG, what the subject matter is about, what is border management, what does it entail? And then I wanted you to bring out clearly that border management actually translates into people migration. And when it translates into people migration, migration, as we know, is a necessary evil. And therefore, when people migrate, how does that translate into socioeconomic development? I know somebody from the alternative group said, if we have jobs, employment back home, then we do not need to move. Then, if that was true, we would not be having expats here. We wouldn't be having people from developed world coming to Uganda, for example, to Tanzania, for example. So migration is necessary. It's global. We cannot avoid it. And the only way we can have it orderly is by having good border management systems in place. I thought I should make that very clear. Before I'm stopped, there is something about a question which came, I think, from also the alternative team. Why should we give people priority to move when the goods are not moving? Because customs union is all about movement of goods. But what I want to say is that, to put clear to the House, is that the integration process is not, the pillars are integrated. You cannot have one pillar on its own. That's why, even if the customs union actually have the EAC Customs Union Management Protocol, Act, as a law, but still when the common market came, we still included the aspect of movements of goods. And that's why currently we are building one-stop border posts, which is handling both the movement of persons and the movement of goods. I have to stop. Otherwise, maybe we shall give you more information in the course of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mama Florence. We are having our last intervener.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Lydia Manyasi from the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission in Kenya. Beautiful debate going on. There's an aspect on the debate theme that is getting lost. The role and implications for the youth is not coming across It was implied in the fact that somebody has found opportunity to study in Kenya, having come from a different country. What I picked out was there's a rush to beat the time. You have good points, but you're not listening to yourselves, sometimes misrepresenting very good points. Like one that I picked on was youth suffer, face dire consequences at the border point, which is not what was supposed to be. The consequences at the border point make youth suffer wherever they may be found. But then it's not at the border point that they suffer. You see, if you stopped and if you spoke as you're listening to yourself, you'll realize the point is not the way it's supposed to be and you'll correct it. But there's a rush, so maybe an urge for you to just slow down a tad bit and put the points across. Beautiful points coming across, but there's a rush. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mama. For purposes of clarity, because the interveners are our seniors, they know a lot about the community than we do. So, but what they say does not affect the result of what you had spoken. The judges already have a ballot. So please do not worry.
Thank you very much. We have now come to the close of the first round of the debate. One more?
Good afternoon. I'm sorry, maybe I was overtaken by the event, but I'm sure I'm within the debate. First of all, I congratulate the debaters. It's a robust and firing debate. But I want to make a point of clarification, maybe in a nutshell, to broaden the concept of border management. To my understanding, border management starts within the state jurisdiction, which involves registration of birth, provision of documents, because all this facilitates you to move. So when you say border management, does not confine yourselves only at border points. Also, when you say border points, those who are in a field of immigration officers, airports also are borders. So not only at border points, airports also are borders. So whenever you discuss the concepts of border, does not confine only the border points between or among countries. So it's a broad term. It involves a number of people. Even the communities along the border coast also involved in border management processes. So whenever we discuss it, it's a nice one. I wish you all the best. I'm sure we will hear a lot of good points. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the word. I congratulate the debaters. Really, you have all well done. But I have something to say about the behavior. You know, in such debates, we have to be smooth. Some have spoken smoothly, others were high, others were calm, others were cool. So you have to see which behavior I have to take in these debates. There is someone in the affirmative team who said that education in Burundi is still low. There I don't agree. I don't agree because the education in Burundi is not still low. This is what I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We have gotten a request from a part-time lecturer in regional integration and an author of a book of East Africa integration. Kindly, sir, we would like to give you 3 minutes to make a view. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With due respect, I know this debate is about students of East Africa at this time. I have dealt with these issues of regional integration, and I thought it is important to contextualize a debate. If you look at the one issue of the debate, you are going to fight a lot across the lines, as the students have excellently done. But what is integration about? Regional integration is to bring the countries together. It's to reduce to ease the complications of exchange of goods and services, and eventually free movement of factors of production, and including, of course, free movement of persons. And these are the pillars of East African integration. We have to move in those stages. A free trade area, a customs union, a common market, a monetary union, and ultimately, they say, I think this is the language used in the treaty, a political federation. And once you have a political federation, you have very little quarrels about borders, because you will have one economic space and a common external tariff and rules of origin and every factor of production, including free movement of persons, flowing very smoothly. The fact that we have not accomplished these processes, we have issues of management of these borders. And these borders, I think, these issues should be looked at as issues to facilitate deeper integration towards a political federation which will resolve those issues. Because if you look at it as fixed issues which must be managed over time, then we will have those problems with us for a very long time. So I thought this this context was important for the students to look at and even discuss the possibility of a political integration in future, because this is what will probably ultimately bring the whole of East Africa together, and the whole of Africa together maybe in the long run. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We have now come to the close of the first round of the debate. We will break for lunch break. It is now 1:05, I presume. Lunch break on my program is for 1 hour. Therefore, we'll be resuming at 2 o'clock for the second round. Thank you very much. I hope I'll be seeing you in the afternoon for the second round.
Yeah, thank you, Fifi. Please continue to engage us in our social media platforms at Twitter, #6EAC debates. It is evident that on Twitter, the last two speakers from either side are trending. Thank you very much. You can. So the debaters, you will have to keep with Maurice here. He has a word for you.
Human beings, I want to
So the students of Dar es Salaam, the very good students that we invited, we shall request that you take us to the new library. It's where we shall have our lunch at the business school. So if you could please lead our way, because you'll also have a feel of our nice lunch. So we request that you lead the way.
I think, I don't know whether Maurice, the other time what we were doing, to manage the interveners, they would sit as a team. Because sometimes the issues are the same. One of them can do the intervention.